I like to start, guys, is just with a simple login screen. So, well, first off, let me ask, have you guys been playing around with the trial account that's been started for you?
Yeah, mostly by me.
And I just done some trainings that have been uploaded by Yanni.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So hopefully this will look somewhat familiar, but the general idea is that every customer of ours has their own unique instance of Litmos. So the one that I like to use is my own personal account that I use for demos. So it's unique because of the URL. So this one is tylerknopp.litmos.com. Yours is probably hcoadvisors.litmos.com, I imagine. And the cool thing is you can completely white label it, so you can brand it with your own logo, images, colors, so that your learners know they're in the exact right place when it comes to training. So you can see here I have your logo, a nice little background image, and then the tab up here. So it gives a really nice initial experience for your learners. And when you log in, they'll see that it's branded on the inside as well. I keep things really simple when it comes to branding. I like to just have the white background here, and then I change the button colors to match the red and blue colors from your website, and I change the logo up here to have your company logo as well. But you guys can get as creative or detailed as you wish with the theme on the account. And there's really two main sides to the system. There is the administrator side. That is what you guys would be. And there's different levels of admin access with different privileges associated with each level. But essentially the admin side is where you guys can create your courses. You can assign them to the appropriate people. You can organize your people by groups, such as departments or job roles. You can run reports on people to make sure they're taking the appropriate training, and so on and so on. And then the other side of the system is the learner side, and that is what the general employee will have access to, and that's where they're going to see any specific training that you've assigned directly to them, and that's also where they're going to see any other optional training that you want to make available that they can self-register for. So I'm going to start by toggling over to the learner side and show you what that experience looks like, since the majority of your employees are going to be learners in the system. And so this is totally customizable. This is just a very simple example of how it looks. I like to keep things pretty simple within my instance. So to welcome you to the site, you guys can have a nice little HTML banner here. I just chose a little stock image here that I used in my account, but you guys can have an image or a video or something playing that's very specific to your organization. In a second, I'll show you another instance of what it could look like with a little bit different type design in another account that I have access to. And you can also have a nice little scrolling banner here where it can have, you know, a company name and tagline or anything like that. Then there's also going to be this metrics banner. What's that?
That I like your tagline.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. And then another thing that you have is the metrics banner. And this is where learners are going to see exactly which courses are assigned directly to them. And these are the courses that they have to take. So, you know, maybe it's based on role or department or location, which determines, you know, what they get assigned. So in this case, this learner has 12 courses they need to take, and it looks like one of them is overdue. So you guys can assign due dates to any of the trainings that you provide. So if there's certain compliance trainings or trainings they have to take, you can assign a due date to them, and then there's automatic emails that get sent out to them based on that due date. And one of the best parts of Litmos is the automatic email notifications. You guys don't want to have to be responsible for creating manual emails and sending them out to people to let them know how to log in, and you don't want to have to be responsible for following up with people if they're not taking training right away. So Litmos has settings where it'll automatically notify them when a course has been assigned. It'll tell them exactly when it's due, and all of our emails have links in them that they click on to enter directly into the course. And then as the due date approaches, if they still have not completed the training, they will continue to get email notifications until that course is completed. So it's very helpful to have those, and typically after the second or third email, people will just log in and take the training. So they can click on the email, or they can click on any one of our courses here and be able to access the training. This is one that I recently created for a different organization, but it has some different types of modules in here, so I wanted to show it to you guys. I know you guys are going to be primarily using SCORM training created by Captivate. So the first module in this course has a SCORM file. So I just want to show you what it looks like and how well Litmos works with SCORM. But basically with any of your courses, you guys can have your own custom image here. It'll show the due date that has been added to this course, the title and description, and also how far into the course learners are. So they do not have to take the whole training at once. They can take part of it, go to a meeting, and then log back in to where they left off later on. And then what they'll see is the modules in the course. So modules are going to be the different pieces of content in the course. So if you think of the course like a book, you can think of modules like chapters in a book. It can be your SCORM files, they can be PowerPoints, they can be PDFs, quizzes, webinars you want them to sign up for, anything like that. You can also attach reference documents to a course. So if there's certain PDFs or PowerPoints you want them to download, like if there's a compliance training and there's a PDF policy they need to download, you can add that here. And then you guys can also have discussion forums if you want learners to be able to collaborate on certain topics and start a discussion thread. But I just wanted to click into some of the modules here. This is just an example of a SCORM module. This is actually a course that Litmos sells, but you can see this is kind of the experience that learners would have. It simply pulls up the SCORM file and allows learners to access the SCORM file from directly within the course here. Our SCORM files have videos and text and audio playing from them, and then we have different review questions as they move on within the lessons in the course. But Litmos, the point is very compatible with different SCORM files. As you proceed in the course, there's different types of modules. This is one where you can link directly into other web pages. So if you needed to send learners to certain web pages, we can pull that up directly within the course. We can deliver PDFs and PowerPoints where they can see those documents directly within the course and be able to navigate through each page within the document. This is an option for what instructor-led training looks like if you wanted to offer like in-person training or webinar type training in addition to computer-based training. Litmos does a really good job of tracking all of those different methods of training and allowing you to have a really blended learning approach. So this is like an example of a live training that you want to deliver, and you want to give a couple options for people that are working at the headquarters. They can click the on-site option and register here. For people that are remote, they can click the virtual option, and it would give them access to like a Zoom invite or something like that where they can log in virtually. And whenever learners register for these trainings, they automatically get sent a calendar invite that they can add to their work calendar, and it will send them reminders periodically leading up to the event so they remember to log in at the correct day and time, right? And then you can always finish it up with a quiz where they can go through a series of questions to make sure they're actually understanding all of the content that they learned within the course. I went a little detailed there, but I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the different types of modules you can have and just sort of the experience that learners have when they go through the courses. Yours is probably going to be a little bit more engaging because you're going to have the actual SCORM files. But any questions on that as I went through the course?
No, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Awesome. And Yanni, do you have any questions as you've been building out the courses? Has it all been pretty straightforward, and do you feel like you've been able to put together pretty effective courses with the engaging content that you've been creating?
Yeah, so ideally, I've been playing around with the Adobe Captivate files and uploading those. But having the assessments already built into Litmos helps that out, because I could put those in the actual SCORM files, but that wouldn't really track people's scores and all that. This way, it kind of encourages them to do well, stuff like that. If you want to recommend any other kind of softwares that create those SCORM files, just let me know, because I'm open to multiple platforms. We like the first one you showed us just a few seconds ago. We thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. So there's a ton of SCORM options out there for authoring tools that you can use. Litmos is compatible with any SCORM file. We meet all the standards for SCORM, so we can work with any of the system. The two main standards are SCORM 1.2 and SCORM 2004. So it doesn't matter what you use, but the two main ones that we see, like the overwhelming majority of our customers use either the tools that you're using, Adobe Captivate, or they use Articulate Storyline. So Articulate is what we used in the first module that I showed, and all of the 800 plus courses that we sell in our catalog is made with Articulate. So both of those are good options.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give you guys an idea of what a different learner experience could look like, this is one that's SAP Litmos branded, so it has our logos and colors. You can see they have a slightly more interactive HTML banner here, but it's similar to the one I had. They have their metrics banner and then all the courses down below. So there's different variations for how you can do it. There's also going to be a course library. So the home tab is where they're going to see any required training that you've assigned directly to them. But there may be situations where you guys have optional training, like continuous ed training, that you want to make optional for your learners. This course library is a great spot for where you can put that. And you can have all the courses available to the learner listed here. And you can put them into different topics and subtopics. So it's really easy for learners to click into the different topics and see what courses are available based on those topics. Right? And they can also search for courses based on keywords. So if they're not sure what topic something's in, but they want to type in a keyword, they can see if any course in that category exists. So it makes it really easy for them to see what's available from you guys. There's also the achievements tab, and this is basically where they see a transcript. They can see all the courses they've completed, when they completed it, and they can download a certificate of completion. And then they can also track any external learning. So external learning is just any training that they do outside of your organization. So if there's any like industry training, like if there's any like tax licenses that members of your company need to take on a yearly or every other year type basis or anything like that, they can let you know about any outside training that they've done. They can let you know when they achieved it, what kind of training it is. So we have like certificates, licenses, workshops, like seminars they've attended, any of those different options, and then they can upload proof that they attended so that you guys can approve it and it would show up on their transcript here. Do you guys have licenses that learners need to, or employees need to achieve at your organization, or is there any outside training where you think this could be applicable?
Yeah, we have CPA, continuing education credits for CPA license. The only thing with that is that we already have a training platform for that. So I don't know if it would make sense to transfer and log that there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's a great solution that's working for you for that piece and you don't want to change it, then totally cool, right? This is just an option for any other type of training that you may want to be able to log. But if you guys have that set up, I'm by no means suggesting that you have to replace it or anything like that. Awesome. And then the last tab that I'll mention is just kind of a deeper look into something I've already showed. Like in the example course that I showed you, there was a couple of options for instructor-led training. There was an on-site option and a virtual option. The live sessions tab just shows all the live sessions that are available to this particular learner. They can see the day and time of different trainings they can sign up for, who the instructors are, and then what courses these sessions are attached to, so they can easily register for them and get them added to their calendar. But this is really the bulk of what I wanted to show on the learner side of things. Hopefully the really big takeaway is that it's a very intuitive system. The majority of your learners are simply going to access courses by clicking on the link that they get in the email notifications. So there's essentially going to be one click that they have to take to get to the course. It's going to be very intuitive. It's not confusing on how to find anything in the system, but hopefully that came across pretty well, because it is definitely something that a lot of our customers have let us know they appreciate about the system. Do you guys have any questions about the learner side before I move on to the admin side of things?
No.
Sorry. Oops. I was just going to ask, is there kind of like a between like an admin and a learner? Because ideally we want to start off as admins, just, building as much content as we can. And then as time goes on, have maybe a few managers jump in and just upload some of their own content because, especially with tax, there's a lot of regulation and tax law changes. So we kind of encourage our managers are ready to send out emails and any of their findings. Would there be a way to have like a middle ground option for between an admin and a learner?
Yeah, so there's different levels of admin access. So the couple levels, there's account owner, that's the very highest. There is administrator, that's next highest, and then there's team leaders and team admins. So you guys can be the main account owners or administrators, and then there can be team leaders, team admins, which are kind of like department managers, department directors type roles. So over time, if you wanted to give people team leader, team admin access where they can only be like a manager for the people that they're responsible for, and then give them certain privileges at that time to be able to send notes to their team or create courses for their team that they think would be helpful, you can give them those privileges and make them those kind of middle level roles.
Perfect, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions, guys, before I go to the admin side? Alrighty. So I am just gonna, again, toggle back over. Perfect, so now I'm logged into the admin side. And so the admin side is set up somewhat similar to the learner side. The admins also have a dashboard or a home tab, which is what we're seeing here. If we ever have any company-wide notifications that we want to push out to our customers about any product enhancements or anything like that, which we do every quarter, we have these little blue notifications at the top where you guys can read about any upcoming announcements or releases, and we typically provide detailed release notes about 2 to 3 weeks before we do any enhancements. And then there's a number of widgets that you guys can choose to have, or you can remove them on the dashboard. It's just meant to be quick links or information that could be helpful to you guys. You can see where in the country people are logging into your instance if you have a lot of remote workers. You could see a widget that shows recent activity in the site, one that shows links to create courses and users and different things like that. So it's just meant to be quick link items to quickly do different commonly used functions within the site. There's also a courses tab. So if we move down from the dashboard to the courses tab, this is really what the system is based around, right? It's a training platform, so it's based on the courses that you have in the system. So this is where you can see a list of all of the courses that you guys have created in the site. Also, if you purchase our Litmos Heroes catalog, those courses will be listed here as well. And then you can bundle courses together and require learners to take multiple courses in a certain order by using what we call learning paths. So learning paths are nice because if there's ever multiple trainings that need to be taken, it just gives a better learner experience if you put them into a learning path. Because I mentioned you get notifications for every course that gets assigned. So if there's 10 courses that a new hire needs to take, it might make more sense to assign one learning path with those 10 courses because they get one notification and it tells them to take course 1 before it moves them on to course 2 and course 3 and so on and so on. So learning paths are a great option that nearly every one of our customers use. So I imagine you guys will probably bundle courses together with learning paths as well. And to create your courses from scratch, all you need to do is click this button here that says create a new course, and we can give it a title. So let's just say H and Co. I'll just say this is new hire onboarding. And for description, we can say welcome to H and Co. Right, and we'll write out a longer description there. And you guys can brand every course in the account with a particular image. So I can just upload a certain image here, and I'll just select your guys' logo. Here we go. And once we click save, the course will be created. And now all we need to do is add modules. So we can see there's no modules in the course because we just started creating it, but we can add content to start to build out the course. So if we click the add content button, the two main options that we have are to upload content. So that's like taking files you already have, like your SCORM files, your PDFs, your PowerPoints, and loading them into the course. And then we can also create create modules. But the first thing is to upload. So we can see the different accepted file types There's video files we can upload, PowerPoints, PDFs, audio files, Word documents, and then zip files. Zip files is SCORM files, so your Captivate or Articulate files. And all you would do is click choose a file, go to your documents, and find the file you want. Like this one here is the SCORM file that I showed you earlier. So we can give it a title and we can click save, and you can see that it will load it very quickly into the course here. So we'll give it just a second to load in this SCORM file, and then we can continue on and upload other files into the course, or we can create other modules. So there's that SCORM file, and while that's processing, let's go create modules now. There are lots of different options here. There's assessments, so this is how you can create those post-tests within Litmos rather than within the SCORM file. You can do surveys to gain feedback from your learners, maybe ask them how they think you can make the training more effective moving forward. Live sessions is how you can schedule those webinars if you wanted to offer any of those. User checklists, if there's ever certain items that you need them to go through in a training and complete. A learner upload is if you require them to complete an assignment and have to return it to you after they completed it. Embed content is simply embedding YouTube or Vimeo videos. Link to another website is how you can take a learner to another website directly within the course player. And then e-signature is our other main one. So if you guys are ever doing any HR or compliance type training on Litmos and you want learners to acknowledge that they've received and agree to some of your policies, e-signature would be a great option for that. Is there anyone in particular that you guys would maybe like me to show, or do you guys have any questions about any of these different module options?
Can you show us the live session? I would like to see how that looks and
Sure. So again, live session is just how you can use Litmos to track non-computer based training, right? So a live session would be like a webinar or a classroom training. So, and ILT, that's what it stands for, is instructor-led training. Should have explained that, apologize. So we'll just call this live session. And this is where we can decide what type of training we want this session to be. It can be a classroom training or it can be a webinar training. You can choose the day and time of the session. Let's say it's going to be on the 18th from 9 until 10. You can choose the instructors, so who's going to lead this session, and you can choose multiple instructors if you wanted to. For location, you can have preset locations already loaded in, so they're easy to find. Like you can have specific addresses and conference rooms already loaded in here, like so, or you can add webinar links, like for example, Zoom or WebEx or anything like that. We also have direct integrations with Zoom, WebEx, and Citrix, so it can create those sessions directly within Litmos, so you don't have to leave Litmos and create them in those other applications. Awesome. So the point is, guys, once you have all your modules, you can move them around in whatever order you'd like. You can add reference documents, so if there's any helpful information that are part of the course that you want them to be able to download or maybe save to their computer, you can add those here. And then you can choose the settings. So the settings is where you can choose who on your team can get notified when learners have any questions. You can add courses to particular topics and subtopics so that they're easy to search for in that course library that I showed you. You can add due dates. So due dates are a specific time, or you can do a time span option where you can say maybe 2 weeks from the day the course is assigned, they have to complete it. And then I mentioned there's automatic email reminders that get sent out leading up to the due date. All right. There's compliance dates if there's anything that you need. Sure.
I wanted to ask you, can we create role-based training, I guess, modules that when we add a user, we can say this user is, for example, a tax manager, and all the trainings that are assigned to that role would automatically get added to their portal?
Sure, yeah. So let me leave this tab here and go to a tab just a little bit farther down called Teams. So Teams is how you organize people into groups on Litmos, and it makes it easy to assign training to those different groups and to run reports on training for those different groups. And you were able to create out like a team hierarchy, and how organizations set up their team hierarchy can change from company to company, but in general, like doing it either by region or department or a combination of both is a great way to do it. So we have a couple of examples here. There's like an IT team, a sales team here, a marketing team, just to give really simple examples kind of in line with what you're referring to. And you can even have sub teams. So like underneath marketing, you can break it down further to a Europe marketing team, a US marketing team, and an intern team. But if I click into a particular team like marketing, we can see all the people on that team, and we can see that there's a couple of tabs up here. The first two are courses and learning paths. So if we add specific courses here and specific learning paths here, like let me just click a course here. Okay, so now there's one course assigned to this marketing team. Anyone that gets added to this marketing team will automatically get access to all of the courses and all of the learning paths that are assigned to that team. So by adding anyone with a certain title to the appropriate team, they will get access to all of the appropriate courses that are attached to that title and attached to that team. Now, anything here would be mandatory, but you can also make courses optional for people with that title or that team. And that's where the team library and the learning path library come into play. Any courses or learning paths listed here would be made accessible, but they're not required. So yeah, that is the Teams tab. Also in Teams, guys, is where you can make people team leader or team admin. So Yanni, you asked a question about kind of a mid-level admin type role. Team leader, team admin would make people only give them only the ability to run reports on people in their team, so people that they're responsible for. And they can also, you can restrict their privileges. So if you wanted to give them a privilege to create courses, they would only be able to make those courses available to people in their team. They wouldn't be able to assign it to other people that don't report to them. Awesome. Reports tab, guys, is next up. Litmos does an excellent job of allowing you to get as granular as you need to run any of your reports, and all of the different reporting options are very easy to run. There's a couple that I'll show you. There's going to be quick reports and then also reporting engine. But before I show you the reports, I do like to mention that you guys each will have your own saved report section. So, you know, you're not going to want to have to come in here and create your reports and download them every time you need it. It's going to be more convenient if you create your main reports, customize them, and then just have them scheduled to get sent to you. So you can have updated versions of those reports sent to you on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And this is where you can see any of those reports that are scheduled, and you can edit them at any point in time, as well as turn them off or change when they get scheduled at any point in time. And the two main types of reports that I referred to is going to be the quick reports and the reporting engine. So quick reports are exactly as the name suggests. They're the reports that allow you to find the information you're looking for very fast here within the user interface, and they're meant to be very easy to run. So they're based off of these different template options listed below the quick reports tag here. And it just depends on the situation as to which one that you'd end up choosing. So if there's, you know, if I want to run a report on one particular employee, I would probably choose the people option here. And it would show a list of all the employees in the system, and I can filter down to, you know, maybe the specific person that I want to run the report on. And it starts by just giving some basic information, like we can see username, how many total courses they've been assigned, what percentage of those courses are complete. But we have this field filter option where we can add in any other fields that may be important for this particular report. So I'll just go through and select a few. And we can see now it's sort of filled out the report and given us a little bit more information to work with. If we ever have further information that we need, we can dig deeper and click on the person's name, and it will show us very specifically all the 32 courses that they've been assigned and more specific metrics based on each of those courses. And again, we can also click this filter option to add more columns and metrics to this report if need be. So you can get as granular as you want, and it's very easy to run those reports. And then whenever you have the report that you need or are looking for, you can simply click download or schedule this report, and you can rename it, and then you can choose who it gets sent to, and you can choose the frequency. So if you want it to get sent daily, weekly, or monthly. So those are the quick reports, but there's also a little bit more robust option. There's one called the reporting engine. It's also just a couple of steps, but it just allows you to get even more granular within the reporting and the data. You just answer a couple of questions. Who would you like to report on? What fields would you like to display with the report that you chose? So the ones in yellow have already been selected, but maybe I want to know, someone's title and maybe their location. Maybe we have some custom fields that we want to report on, like hire date, and then maybe there's a few metrics like courses assigned, courses not started, and maybe time spent in the courses that we want to report on. And then we can choose if we want to run it on everyone or maybe specific teams in the account. Actually, and once we have the teams that we want to report on, it gives us a preview so we can make sure we have all the metrics that we want. And if we have everything that we like, we can again choose the frequency. Maybe this time I'll choose weekly, where we can say, hey, every Thursday at 9 a.m., we're going to get this report. And we can choose all the appropriate managers and people that need to receive this report. Any questions on that, guys? Does that seem to be pretty straightforward and pretty easy to add in any of the metrics that you need and get the reports that you need sent to you pretty easily?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's just one more tab that I'll show you real quick before we sort of take a time out here. It's the account tab. So this is really where the customization happens, and Yanni's probably played around with this a little bit. You guys probably will play around here when you're first getting things set up, and then after that, probably not need to enter this tab too much. But this is where you can update all of your account details and name on the account. This is where the theme tab will be accessed. So this is where you customize the look and feel of the account. You can decide on what layout you want, if you want these buttons to be vertical or horizontal. You add your logo here. This is where you can add or remove any special metrics banner or HTML banner. You can add or remove any of those common widgets that show up on the learner side. And this is where you can change the button colors. We give you these color wheels, and you can also add the exact color codes, which is how I was able to add the exact red and blue color from your guys' website and your logo into my test account. There's also a features tab, which is where you can turn on or off any particular features you may want to use. Integrations, if you guys wanted to connect up with Zoom or GoToTraining or anything like that, or you can turn on any of the other integrations that might be useful for you guys, like single sign-on or anything like that. And then the last one that actually there's two more that I'll mention. One is email. This is where you can edit or reword any of the emails that get sent out by Litmos. You can rephrase them and add your signature line so it looks like it's really coming from you guys rather than from Litmos. And you can also change the reply to address on the emails. So if a learner does reply with a question, it goes directly to you guys rather than to us. And then the last one that I'll mention is roles and permissions. I talked a little bit about there's different admin levels. So team leader and team admin are kind of the lower level options, and you can remove any of these particular privileges or permissions if you don't want them to be able to do certain things on the site. Like if you don't want them to be able to create courses and learning paths, you would uncheck this box here. And then they would only be able to run reports on their team. They wouldn't be able to create courses or assign courses for their team. So you guys have full control over all the main admin functions for a team leader or a team admin.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Well, this seems like it would be a pretty good spot to take a time out here, guys, and see what you think of the system. And hopefully I showed you, what I showed you today was useful based on what you're hoping to see, but would love to answer any questions you guys may have and see how we can make this a great fit for you and your team.